Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a reading for twin flames. So I've already pulled the cards. I've been getting so many messages over the last couple days for this reading. There's a lot of information coming in, so I'm going to try my best to relay all of that to you. The first one that's coming in is for the masculine energy. That, like, the image that I was seeing was kind of like there's something that you're trying to protect. That's sort of the image that I was receiving, or it, like something like a mosquito net, right? There's like a layer of protection between you and some unwanted energy, but it's like there's a mosquito that's stuck in the net with you, is what the image that was coming through. So I don't know who that's for. Take it if it resonates. That's just sort of a random message for someone, I feel like, who's watching this. That actually, it may come in the reading, but it may not. So I'm just going to leave that there. So that's just to start off. I pulled cards for the feminine energy and the masculine energy separately. But I was also getting sort of this theme of like a very significant, almost like perspective switching that's happening, where it's like you may be experiencing something that is perhaps out of the norm for you, or it feels like it's not like a regular part of your day-to-day experience, but whatever that experience is actually a result of the connection, where it's like you're experiencing something that your person or your counterpart is perhaps like is part of their day-to-day, if that makes sense. So it's like a perspective shifting, but it's very immersive and feels like it's an experience that you are having in, I don't know, like your physical day-to-day life, but is actually a result of like their day-to-day, if that makes sense. Okay, anyways, so let's get started. This is the divine feminine side. So we're starting off here with the destroyer card, which is so fascinating because this also kind of looks like that mosquito net energy, where it's like there's a, perhaps you've put up some sort of like boundary or like a protective net kind of energy, but it's like there's something inside the net with you that's not desired, right? And I feel like this destroyer energy is actually coming in order to like break down whatever that unwanted energy is, because it's coming through here as being like, it's almost like you don't know that it's in there with you, or you don't know that it's like having a negative impact or something like that. So there's a destroyer energy. This always to me feels like something that's like not within your control. Like it kind of feels like a tower moment, but it might not be that extreme, I want to say. It just feels like there's something that's being destroyed. What's really interesting though is that for the divine masculine side, they have the creator. So I was getting, and with this like ring, right? So it could be there's something like this circle that's being drawn around something. Like it could be like highlighting something for the other that's like, pay attention to this, that there's something here that you need to see. Another message that was coming through with these two cards is that the masculine here, the masculine energy, again, is sort of like this flipping perspective where the masculine is, it feels like they're creating something or nurturing something. Because I was seeing sort of like a masculine figure that was like pregnant, which to me is just talking about the fact that like that there perhaps the masculine energy is trying to create or nurture something, and you have some of that energy here in the cards as well. And it could be something like they're trying to manifest something. For example, the masculine energy is trying to manifest something, and as a result, it's having almost like a it's like clearing something out of the feminine's life is kind of how it's feeling. So I don't want to say it's destroying something, even though that's what the card says, but it's kind of feeling like the masculine's manifesting something, and as a result, it's having an effect of clearing something out of the feminine's life or experience in order to make space for whatever this is. I hope that makes sense. So there's kind of like it feels like a co-creation, right? Because this energy is, something is leaving in order to make space for whatever the masculine is manifesting, which is really interesting. So if we get into the cards for the divine feminine, you have here, so you have here the heart, the pilgrim, and the ring. So this came out after the destroyer energy, which is really lovely because this heart talks about like your heart center and doing things that are true to yourself. And it's coming out with the pilgrim, which talks about like a journey or like seeking something, right? But perhaps not knowing what it is that you're seeking. And the ring, which is talking to me about like a new cycle or the connection in general, because the cards that are coming out, you have here the 10 of materials and the Hierophant. So there's a lot of noise going on downstairs, so hopefully it doesn't come through in the video. But so the 10 of materials came out underneath the destroyer, and I always talk about this card as being sort of like this really stubborn or non-changing kind of entity that is perhaps actually draining to the individuals that are part of it. So that it could be something like, it could just be generally like there's something about the physical environment that's being highlighted or destroyed because it's not beneficial in some way, or this has to be cleared out in order to make space for this new manifestation that's happening. Okay, and then you also have the Hierophant that's coming out next. So I'm seeing this as being for the divine feminine, where it's like perhaps leaving a group or leaving some sort of established experience or whatever it is for you, something that's very long-standing and stable, leaving that behind in search of something, right? With the pilgrim and the Hierophant, this is very much sort of like a pilgrimage energy, like traveling somewhere perhaps, or just leaving some aspect of stability perhaps behind in search of something new, which is really fascinating to me. And what came out underneath these two cards were the Devil and the Lovers coming out at the same time, like they came out together, which is fascinating. So we also have the Seven of Inspiration that came out at the bottom of the deck. So this is the overall context. So this combination, which is really fascinating to me, because I feel like this devil energy talks about sort of like things that keep us stuck, right? Or that keep us from moving. It was coming through today, especially with these sort of like the strings, like not having a choice in your movements, or like being obligated to do something perhaps through responsibility or whatever it is, some sort of obligation, but that actually keeps us from moving forward with the arms crossed. And then here with the Seven of Inspiration, because this is the overall context, I feel like the divine feminine energy is sort of going through this experience of breaking free of those bonds, right? Like uncrossing the arms and sort of letting in more light, right? Because especially with the Lovers coming out next, like, look at these two cards side by side with this sort of like the reflection of these cards, which is so fascinating. It's making space for, right? Like uncrossing, or the devil energy, or whatever this energy is that's keeping sort of the blockage in place is being cleared. That's what's coming through here, and it's opening up more space in order to do this. I feel like, because I often see this Lovers card as being sort of like a rendezvous point, like meeting somebody at like a designated meeting spot, right? But that's not your final destination. That's not the where you're supposed to be ending up. It's kind of just like a stopping point in order to rendezvous with the energy that you need in order to go on to the next part of the journey. So that's what I'm seeing here with the Hierophant. It's like if you're resonating with this energy, you are leaving behind something because the Destroyer energy is breaking down some sort of blockage for you. And the thing about this Devil energy is it's not even something that's really negative, I want to say. It kind of feels like, especially because it's coming out side by side with the Lovers, that these energies may actually be very similar and very difficult to tell apart, is kind of how it's coming through. Like there's it doesn't feel like a negative experience, whatever this Devil energy is, but it is coming through as a blockage, or like it gives you no choice. There's a feeling of like being obligated to see something through when perhaps you don't have to do that obligation. So the Destroyer energy is coming in to break this energy apart so that you can move forward. So it will require you to move or change direction or shift away from whatever this is. And I feel like perhaps because the next couple cards here coming out are the Eight of Voices and the Queen of Emotions, right? So there's something here about like this Eight of Voices, like being trapped or being stuck, but I feel like you weren't seeing that. Like it wasn't something that you were seeing, right? With the normal, like the regular traditional Eight of Voices with having the blindfold on, it's like you can't see what's around you properly for whatever reason. So I feel like that's what the energy is that's coming in to like break this apart. And then with the Queen of Emotions, this is coming in as being, again, with like the heart and the ring is kind of like a return to self, or returning an aspect of self here that perhaps was blocked by whatever that energy was. And this card was coming through as being sort of like a sharing of emotions, or like it's almost like a geyser, or right, like uncorking something, and then all of this bright, vibrant energy comes out of whatever this sort of like blocked in energy is, which is really, really lovely for you. And then here you have the Page of Emotions, which is the heart center, right? Like being led by your heart. It's also, this card has been talking to me about freedom, with the octopus as well. And then you also have here the Seven of Materials, which is talking about, to me, this looks more like an Eight of Materials. It's not so much like laying the groundwork, but it's like actually harvesting or doing the work or focusing on what's in front of you. It's a very productive energy is what this is feeling like. So that's what I have for the Divine Feminine, where just to summarize, it's like some sort of blockage is being removed or destroyed by an outside influence, and in the process it's freeing you up in order to be able to move in a way that's very heart-centered and very much a return to self. Okay, now on the other side, we have here the Gnosis card for the Divine Masculine. So this is talking to me about learning something new, it feels like, or receiving a lot of information. It's kind of like, I feel like Divine Masculines are maybe seeing things in a new way, because you have here the comic coming out next. I often see this comic card as being sort of like someone who's sort of on the outskirts, or like someone who sees the truth about a situation that others on the inside may not be seeing properly or clearly. There's this also interesting thing happening here with the eyes. So I'm debating on whether or not to share this. Somebody close to me told me about a dream he had where there was like something wrong with the eyes, And then he asked me to flip the eyes back and it became normal. So it could be something about like learning something new or seeing something in a new way, or having, again, a perspective shift that is revealing a lot of information, or perhaps like resulting in a lot of downloads or something like that. And I feel like here with the creator card, and then you also have the crone. So the crone is coming out as being sort of like gaining the wisdom after something has ended. That's what I see with the crone. Like, so it could be that they're the divine masculine. If you're watching this, it feels like they're gaining some sort of new understanding or wisdom or learning or knowledge about a past situation, perhaps. And it's also allowing them to create something again. Because I feel very much like the divine masculine is in an active manifestational creative process here, because you have these three cards, the Wheel of Fortune, the Three of Wands, and then the Queen of Pentacles. So I'm seeing these, especially because I was talking about like the pregnant belly, where it's which is just representing sort of like the masculine is nurturing something, right? They're creating something. And it's a Wheel of Fortune energy, which is talking about like moving the wheel forward again, because I feel like maybe there's been some sort of stuckness. I feel like whatever it is the masculine is doing on their end is causing this sort of almost like a chain reaction on the feminine side. That's what I'm seeing. And it's with the Three of Wands, because this talks about manifestation, right? And waiting for your ships to come in, because there is some sort of timing element that's important here. Like with a pregnant belly, there's a certain amount of time that is necessary in order for this manifestation to become fully realized. So there could be something here about there's timing. The timing is not within your control. It feels like it's kind of just like you got to wait until the appropriate amount of time has passed, which is really interesting. And then you have here the Five of Cups, which I'm seeing as being like the the counterparts, right? Where it's like this one's the masculine energy, where it's like they're holding on to the Two of Cups, right? So it could be the connection, it could be just like whatever it is that they're trying to manifest. But in the process, it's causing all of this sort of like spillage, like emotional spillage, where that's what this destroyer energy is. It's like it's having a chain reaction. Whatever it is the masculine is manifesting or doing on their end is causing a destroyer energy to come in on the feminine side, because again, not as anything negative, but it feels like because there needs to be more space, right? It's like if you're trying to create something, you have to first make space for it to come in. So it's like, but the space is being created on the feminine side, which is interesting. So it's a co-creation, but it's happening like from a distance almost, or like it's kind of like what the other thing that I was getting with this, the Devil and the Lovers card, it's kind of like perhaps you are not seeing the effects of what your work is doing on your end, is kind of how it's feeling. Like you're trying to manifest something or create something, but the effects are not happening on your side of the fence, is kind of how it's feeling. It's happening to somebody else on their side of the fence. And it's like, that's what's coming through. It's like you're trying to manifest something, but it's happening for the other person, if that makes any sense at all. Okay, I don't know. I wonder if you will... I feel like there will be understanding about what that change is that's happening. Okay, anyways, because for the bottom of the deck was this, for the masculine side was the Three of Pentacles. This one talks to me about like a failed collaboration, which is interesting because I feel like that's not true. It's like you are trying to create something, perhaps with the other or for the connection or something, but maybe it's not, like, you're not seeing the results of it, or there's some sort of like disappointment in terms of how it's playing out. But it's like, it's what the message is that it's actually having a very significant effect, just not on your side. It's happening on the other side, whatever that means. You may not be seeing that clearly. Okay. Which is interesting. You also have the devil here again for the masculine. So there's a lot of blockages being cleared. Perhaps there's kind of like this energy of having to face whatever this devil energy is. So it could be any sort of pattern. What's interesting here is that these devil cards are very different from these two decks. And then this one here has this sort of like the straitjacket energy, right? Like being contained within something, or being stuck, not being able to move very freely. So the divine masculine may be feeling like, even though they're trying to manifest something, or they're trying to create something, or nurture something, or grow whatever it is that they're trying to create, it feels like they're seeing it as being a stuckness, right? Or that it's not moving in the way that it should be, or that there's not a lot of collaboration, but it's almost like the space is being cleared. Now I'm kind of getting, you know, when there's like, you have like a light switch in your house, but when you flip it on and off, it doesn't do anything in your house. And that's because somehow the circuit's connected to like the apartment next door. And so every time you flip the switch, it turns on a light in the next door apartment. It's something like that. I have no idea how that is going to play out like in a real world kind of way. That's what I'm seeing here though, right? It's like you're flipping a switch, or you're trying to do something, but it's not having any effect on your side in your apartment. But on the other side, it's like every time you flip that switch, it turns on and off the light in the apartment next door. Okay. I have no idea what that means. I'm just going to move on. But the good news is the next couple cards you have here are the Ace of Wands and the Six of Wands. And then the Queen of Cups again. So the things that are shared between these two sides are the Devil and the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Emotions. And again, this card, the Queen of Emotions, was coming through with this message of like, the emotions are shared. Or there is a sharing of emotions, or that's what's required. It's like there's like the electrical current is shared between the two of you. So, and this one here was talking to me about sort of like an aspect of self that is being released or freed from whatever the devil energy is. So that's something to keep in mind, is that what it feels like whatever one person is doing is having an effect on the other person, but it's kind of like neither of the people are aware of that happening, right? It's like that you're flipping the switch on for the other person in the other apartment without you knowing it, whatever that means. But it's happening on both sides. Okay, and this one might have to do with, here you have the Ace of Inspiration, the Ace of Wands and the Six of Wands, which is talking about sort of like all of this creational energy, right? So the masculine could be getting a lot of new ideas. The Six of Wands has been coming up a lot as just being like resolving conflict, or being able to move past a conflict in some way, and it's freeing up all of this energy. I feel like there's something else there, but anyways, you have here the Six of Swords, which talks about like moving into calmer waters. It feels to me like the masculine energy is like has a lot of new creations that they're working on or trying to work on. There may be some frustration though, especially the Ace of Wands coming out. There may be some frustrations, but that those are going to be cleared up. It just kind of feels like there's been a little bit of resistance on both ends, perhaps, because the results are not being shown to you is kind of how it's feeling. Like you're not seeing the results of your work, and that could be frustrating. But I feel like there is going to be sort of like an understanding or a realization, or with this Gnosis card, I sometimes like get the message of this card of being like you get the information when you need it. Meaning I feel like all of the information or the results haven't been made clear to you yet, is kind of how that's feeling to me. It's just, it hasn't been revealed. The full story or the full fruit of your labor hasn't been shown to you or revealed because it's not happening on your end. That's really interesting. And the Hanged Man, just to end it, this one's actually talking to me about patience or seeing things from another perspective, right? Like it could be that you're being put on pause, right? Like some aspect of your manifestation is being put on pause in order for the other side to catch up, or like it's kind of like if you move too fast, the other side will have difficulty catching up. So it's kind of like you have to wait until sort of the work happens on the other side, if that makes sense. And I feel like it is catching up, right? It feels like there is a lot of forward movement happening. You just might not be aware of it yet. Is kind of how that's coming through. So I'm going to leave the message there. Check out the description box below. You'll find a link to my website if you're interested in a personal reading. If this message resonated with you, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.